Hey guys, Anthony here. Welcome to the channel. This is Aquascaping on the Fly, Living Art Creations. I'm your host and content creator, Anthony. And first of all, I want to say, it feels like a million years since I made a video. It's been over 10 days, which is really rare for me because I love producing the videos. I love the interaction. And I wanted to say first, thank you to our newest subscribers that have come on board. Today we're at 82. And I wanted to say a couple of the things about that. I am humbled by my subscribers from all over the world. So I'm giving my shout out today to India, China, and the UK. Your feedback is more than you can imagine to me. I love the fact that I'm getting comments on the videos and questions, and we're opening dialogue, and you guys are giving me great information. I love that. I love the thumbs up. The thumbs up tell me that you like the video, and the subscribers say, that means I want to see more of this. But the comments to me are just golden. I just love hearing the immediate feedback. And I think it's because being a flight attendant, I interact with the public, and that kind of feeds my personality. And my energy and my enthusiasm. And I do want to give some information to the people that give me a thumbs down. If you're going to give a thumbs down, be creative enough to say why you're doing it. Don't be anonymous about it and just give a thumbs down. That doesn't help a creator know what your point is. If you don't like the video for a specific reason and you think that's going to be valid for the creator, go ahead and tell them why. I've had people tell me that, hey, it would be great for you to invest in a wireless mic. Hello, we're wearing a wireless mic. Because I walk around the studio and sometimes you can't hear me as clearly. And I've had comments about, hey, can we tone the music down? So I've dropped the music and replaced it with nature sounds, which is much more subtle. But I'll kind of give you an example of that. In the editing phase, when I'm editing a video and I'm putting in my, whatever the insect or music, like when I used to do music, like theme music, it's much quieter, the version that I'm hearing when I'm editing, than when I listen to one of my videos. I listened to one of my videos and I was horrified. I mean, the music level was so freaking high. My voice was just, and I talk a lot and I talk loud. So my voice was just like barely right above that. And I also want to say something to my international peeps out there that like the videos. If you speak a different language other than English, please put in your comments if you would like me to select your preferred language for the captions. Because I can go into a video and edit it and add captions to other languages. That way, if it's easier for you, because I know I talk fast. I'm from the South of the United States, and we talk fast. And so if it would help you, please go ahead and do that. But for those of you who do a thumbs down, it doesn't help us at all. Be creative enough to step up there and say, hey, this is the reason why, or maybe this is not blah, blah, blah. So kind of just step out there. It's not going to hurt my feelings because there's way more positive than there is negative. So that being said, let's move on to what the point of today's video is. Now, I rarely am able to show you the studio because what you're looking at right now is the clean section of the studio. I'm in such a small space that I have to move everything forward, and I usually can't spin the camera around because I have to move so much stuff out of the way because everything is stacked everywhere because I try to be as organized as possible and to keep it that way. But today, I am going to show you the other side of the studio. I want you to get a snapshot of where my plants are that I'm growing in my tubs. And this is the exciting part, we're about to embark on our first aquarium builds. That is the Trinity series. Now, there are old videos. Well, I say old. My channel is just barely 3 months old. It's an infant, and I'm not even being pushed out to my audience yet. My audience right now that I'm getting pushed with is people that breed reptiles, which I kind of could get because I have insects in some of my videos that reptiles eat. I kind of get that. But the other one is like ghost hunters. I don't know how ghost hunters and the videos I've been doing about terrariums and plants have anything to do with each other. But anyway, that's where I am right now. So I'm not even in the mix of aquascaping and terrarium enthusiasts. So you guys that are finding me are finding me just by accident, because that's how the algorithm puts you out there when you're a brand new channel. And I'm okay with that because I'm still learning how to do my videos. But the Trinity series is a series of 3 tanks. And I had this envisioned from the day I became obsessed with aquascaping. I wanted to do 3 linear tanks side by side that could encapsulate one theme, whether that theme be a plant species or the hardscape. And I think I'm going to try and do both. So I am going to just rearrange the table here and move a chair, and that's about it. And a quick update about the gnat problem. So you guys know, if you've seen any of my other videos, I've spent a lot of time on gnats. People don't talk about it on their channels, but you can see gnats flying around in the room on any terrarium channel that you look at, unless they have moved it to a spot where there's nothing behind them but just a blank wall or something like that. So what I'm still doing here is the insect strips that I put in the builds themselves. I'm also using bug zappers now. And I am still working on trying to make sure that my tubs are airtight. And when I open a tub, I never open it inside anymore. I take it outside because inadvertently there are gnats in there that have been released from the soil. So I'm trying to cut into that birth cycle still. And so today I have coming from Amazon, I've ordered the plug-in bug zappers. They don't zap. They get the insect to stick onto a grid. So it sticks there like the paper, but it has a light behind it, and the light draws them in. Because the yellow stickies are great when they fly into it. But a lot of times the way a gnat flies, it's just so zigzag. It looks haphazard. I'm sure it's not from their point of view, but that means you got to flood the thing with your stickies. And so I'm going to try this, and I may even try to put them in like a build like I have here, where I've had an outbreak. If I could put one of the small little stickies in there that has a light source, maybe I could get a lot of them during the night when they're coming and crawling around, and maybe that would help me, battle that. But we're going in the right direction. It's so much better. So let me get the camera turned around, still have a shot of what's behind you. And I'm hoping it shows up really good in camera. I mean, the lighting is, the window is on that side. So I hope that you guys, if it's not coming through, you'll let me know in the comments, but hang tight for just a hot second. Okay, so here is 3 types of Java fern that I'm growing in soil in the human environment. So you can see I never initially had any gnats in this until about a month ago. So I know that somebody crawled in. Now this didn't have the permanent seal like some of the tubs down there do. This is one that I did a makeshift where I put some packing material around it. It's kind of a plasticky foam, and it traps them in there, which is nice, so they can't escape. So that when they try to escape, I don't know if you can see right down in here, but then they die right in here. So they're dead here. And then there's some on the stickies down there because they're coming strictly out of the soil. The Java fern is doing very good in there, but it's very slow growing. But I've got 3 types in there. I've got trident, narrow, and I think it's called windy loaf or something like that. Anyway, it's another version. Then here we have my baby potted terrarium plants, and then my larger potted terrarium plants. What was happening is I can't eliminate fully the gnats out of those because their larvae is in the soil. And so what I'm trying to do is put the strips at the soil level. I've put rock on top of the soil, and I'm trying to put the strips on top of the soil, but the tub is kind of packed. So it's hard to put it between all the pots. But I'm going in the right direction with this. And then over here, we've got what is rock, and then all that is my potting soil. You guys zoom, I'm gonna zoom you in. There's something that's like super amazing over there. I want you to see this. Okay, You see that? That is my Christmas cactus. That has been blooming since November. It is loving the growing light. So it just stays under there the whole time. It's not stopped blooming. It's got more blooms coming on it. And it is absolutely gorgeous. So it's loving it down there. Now, I know that I've got gnats that are coming out of that soil, and I don't care because I love the plant. I'm not gonna put stickies around it because it's doing so well. I'm so happy about it. Now, I'm going to back off of, oh, and guess what? There's something you guys never see on video. That's where I keep a lot of my supplies in a little roll-around cart. Then also my laundry goes on, but I don't want to have to put something in the dryer. You guys are just getting like a full-on display today. Okay, here's what I am most proud of, and we can finally talk about it in its entirety. This is the studio build. This is my concept from the very beginning. I wanted a platform to be able to showcase a lot of terrariums, which right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 13. So we have 13 terrariums right now. What I love about this is we are using nature as our backdrop. So from the wood that I found out on my nature walks that I've attached to the wall, I just recently was in Tampa, Florida on a trip, on a layover, and I found a tree that had Spanish moss on it that I could not walk away from without grabbing some. And I read online how to take care of it. So now I've turned on all my lighting. So this lighting, this lighting, this lighting, and this lighting all are the same lighting. And they're on 2 timers. I love this. I have showcased this in other videos, and I did a special lighting video. If you guys want to look, this is the least expensive lighting you can get that is full spectrum. It comes on its own little mini timer. It has 4 levels of lighting, and I think it has 3 timer settings on it. And I absolutely love it because it's so inexpensive. For a $45 price, you can get 2 timers and 6 light strips. So when we're talking about the light strips, we are talking about this right here. That's an individual light strip. And they plug together. You can see right there. I've left that lower so you guys can actually see what that is like. So I've attached it to the sticks. I always wanted something up here, something interesting, because I wanted to build an art install. That's how I'm looking at this, as an art install. This is not just a terrarium display. It's not just an aquarium display. It's going to be an art install. We're going to talk about these dudes in detail, but this shelf was built specifically for these 3 tanks. And then you have the base here. Now, when I tell you all of this that I built was from recycled materials, the only thing I had to buy were the curtains for the bottom, the anchors and the feet for the table, and the anchors for the shelf. The light fixture here on the left, that is all recycled materials that I already had. And I built that from scratch. That's wood on a shelf with lighting inside it that was always meant to go between here and here and to light up a number of terrariums right there so that you don't need multiple light sources. You can use 1 light source. Now, you can see where all of these terrariums, I've had to put the insect strips in. I did this before I went on my last trip, and I realized that they're still coming out of the soil because look, they're coming up and they're getting attached right there. They're not coming from these upper parts. They're coming from inside there. And this is the only one that's going to remain an open terrarium. It's doing beautifully. And so I don't want to mess with it. It's got the sticks that are coming out of it, I think are amazing. I've had to turn it around because this plant here was growing towards the light, so I turned it around to kind of balance it. But normally it would go like this. It was designed to go like that, so that the sticks will balance this side of the wall, just like the sticks balance that side of the wall. So the whole thing is built to be a balance to each other in nature. So the one thing that's amazing about this display, in my opinion, this is one shrub that is blonde wood that's holding these elevated, and then these are entwined in the sticks. So it's one piece of wood structure that's holding all of those together. It stops at the waterfall, which I've got covered up now because I put 3 potos, little strips in there to get them to root. So right now that's one of my incubators. And then this is my Harry Potter off to the side. Now Harry Potter was built with its own stand. So this one is fully movable and I can move it wherever I want. So if I want to use this as a workstation, I can just slide it out of the way. The other ones I don't want to mess with. Okay, now let's get to the real point of the video. Okay, so I'm super glad that I was checking the video quality. I got down to the part where we're going to talk about the Trinity and you really couldn't see inside. So we're reshooting the whole thing. So what we've got now is your Trinity series, and to your screen left, that is Hands in Prayer. The middle one is Turtle in Motion, and the one on your right is Bird on a Wire. Now, so the full story about this is the rocks and your wood structure in there all came from nature. Different places that I went to obtain all this, but I think it all comes together beautifully, and I think it really ties in to the structure above the tanks as well, the branches that I've attached. That eventually is going to be where, when plants that I put in the tops of the aquariums start to climb up and vine, they'll have a place to go. So that was my original concept from the day one, is to have something up there for the plants. I've added Spanish moss to it that I picked up on a layover in Tampa. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to keep it alive because I think it looks amazing and adds a beautiful element to the wall itself. So let me tell you the story about how I found each one of these, because they truly were just an act of inspiration, and I was just floored when I saw it. So the Turtle in Motion means a lot to me because when I was on a layover in Barbados, I helped rescue baby sea turtles and place them, getting them closer into the ocean. That happened one night when I was on a layover. I was out at the beach and I felt something crawl over my feet. I turned my cell phone light on and I was surrounded by baby sea turtles. And, oh my God, it truly was a spiritual moment for me. And I went to the hotel, they called people and they came, and it was just, the whole entire night was amazing. So I'm on my very first nature walk, and I'm at a place that's like a lot of people that want to try out their hiking skills. It's not a hike. It's like more of a gradual walk, but it's rocky. And I was over a section which was these massive rock structures. There were no trees in the area, but there had been some old campfires. And I'm looking at the debris of an old campfire, and that's exactly where I found Turtle in Motion. It is charred on the back side of it. I did nothing to this other than clean it and seal it with Gorilla Glue. And then, because I thought it looked just like a turtle frame coming down in a slope, and I thought, oh my gosh, it looks like a turtle in motion coming down to the bed of the floor to eat grass. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to do an entire planting of dwarf hairgrass. So for those of you who have watched any of the other videos, you've seen I've got a lot of videos about the plants that I'm growing. I've been growing dwarf hairgrass for 3 months. And so I have enough now, I think, that I can at least put into this tank and have it be able to fill in and create a grass effect. Now the rock here that it is attached to, I found that in a storm drain, a large storm drain that went under a highway. And I will say this 100 times, storm drains are amazing because you can find wood down there that has been stripped of its bark and dried out and wet and dried out, and it usually has a really beautiful look. And you can find all kinds of cool things that you can use in the hobby for there, the terrarium side and the aquascaping side. So what I do with my rocks though, when I bring them in, I boil them, and I clean them, and then I boil them to make sure there's nothing on them. And then I set them aside. So I've collected these rocks at all different locations as well. Now, if we're going to turn our attention to prayer hands, that was on a golf a Frisbee golf course. And I'm going to say this about Frisbee golf. Watch out for those suckers. Those Frisbees fly by you and they will, knock you out. They fly so fast. But I found these are actually 2 pieces of curved wood. And I was holding them, and I was holding them in one hand. And when I put them in one hand, they actually legit just acted like they wanted to fall into this position. And I first thought of it, oh my gosh, those are like the praying hand statues. It's just like the hands have broken off. So there was the inspiration of that. The twig that was in there, I just found recently in the same riverbed stream close to where I found Turtle in Motion. And I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. And I thought, oh my God, I have to have that. And it's perfect. It has no bark on it. And it kind of looks like a snake. If you look over here at its mouth, it looks like a snake. So I thought, oh, that's super, super cool. Now, for the one on our right, Bird on a Wire, I legit sometimes can see a form of this being the bird, and then that's the tail. So I wanted to plant Java fern on the back side of that to give it that bird's tail, like tail feather look. The one thing that I will say is every time I've found something substantial like this, I knew immediately what to do with it. So I don't have to sit there and think about it. I don't have to sit at a dojo and make up what I'm going to do. I just look at it and I place it, and then I'm using my eye. I have no idea if this meets the criteria that strict aquascapers use when they talk about the third 2/3. I'm going by the fact that I used to paint. I used to be an interior decorator. I used to remodel houses, and I've always used my critical eye as my guide, and that's what I did here. But what I would like for you guys to do for me, this is my call to action about how do you feel about these 3 builds. Remember, this is a cohesive look. So if I get to do dwarf hairgrass in here, I'll put a little bit here and a little bit on that side. We're going to build this one first. So this one pretty much can't be elevated much because I don't want the turtle's backside to be, coming up at the top necessarily. I want to be able to see the full thing underwater, and I want it to look like it is cruising in to eat the dwarf hairgrass. It may have to be elevated up a little bit more of an arch here versus the 3 that I've got right there right now. So it may have to be elevated up, but we can probably achieve that just by putting our aqua soil in there and curving it the way we want to get that effect. Once we have the middle one done, whatever is done to each side will then follow on this one, and it'll follow into this tank. So that's how we're going to achieve that cohesive look between all 3 of them. So they're all going to have the same substrate, aqua soil mixture with something topping it. I'm toying between the idea, I had bought some play sand, and I thought it was a beautiful color that it would look really well with the rocks that I've chosen. But then I can also do gravel. I want to put shrimp in each one of these, and I know that shrimp can tear up sand easier. And I was thinking about gravel because maybe in the long run it'll look better. So that's your 2 things that you guys are going to have to advise me on. What do you think about how the structures look right now versus also how to cap off the substrate? And I'm not worried yet. I'm not going to follow the formula of it's going to be flat. It's going to be curved. It's going to be a curve all the way through it. And one thing that I really want to achieve, let me move behind the camera and hopefully not knock it out of the way, is the rocks that are here, I want them elevated up. I want them to arch up. So I'm thinking I'm going to build my aqua soil up higher here so the rocks can sit on top and be elevated like the stick is. So this will not remain flat. So whatever we do here has to transition and then go up on that side. And I planned on this one putting a major plant with the root system right there at that corner. They're all going to have plants in them, but I know that one I definitely wanted to put like a grouping right there. For the prayer hands, it's a little more difficult because this to keep its look, almost needs to be flat. So I'm not sure how we're going to achieve a rise here to maybe make it go more this way and accommodate this. I tried putting this on the opposite side and I didn't like it. I liked it with the big rocks behind it and this going forward. You cannot reverse the look of that wood. I can't turn it around. It's not as pretty. I mean, this shape is much prettier than the backside because I did try that initially. I had the bigger rocks here, but when I did, it was rock and rock, and it did not, to me, flow as nicely as just having one that's similar to these two. It's like this one and this one and this one are very similar. And I thought, okay, this is where it starts. This is where it continues. We've got this pitted rock in the back, which matches all the ones that are in here. So to me, that's my theme that I was going with. Also, let's talk about budget really quickly. So these are 10-gallon tanks I bought when they were 50% off at PetSmart. These cost me $15 each. Now, some purists out there are not going to be happy with the fact that I'm leaving on the grid system at the bottom and the top. I need it there for two reasons, though. I cannot remove it. To get these bolted into the heavy-duty brackets, it has to come through this. And so the bolts are on top. I need this space so that these tanks can sit there and not be in the way of the bolts that are underneath them. So I can't have them sitting flush. So I needed it at the bottom. I'm using it at the top because you can tell the lighting is under there. I got the lighting attached just by stickiness on each one of the tanks. Now, so we've got $15 in the tanks themselves, and then just one light strip, and on a timer, it averages out to $7 per tank. So right now we're at $22. I want this to definitely fall well under $100, and I'm really pushing for $70 to $75. I'm gonna have to buy more plants. I will use the dwarf hairgrass I've been growing, and I paid $17 for my dwarf hairgrass. So right now, you take your 22, push your 17, there's your tank cost for this one. It's gonna have a couple more plants in there, but this one's definitely gonna be under 50 bucks. And then the other two, it just depends on what we end up with plants. Now, I didn't want to put two lights on it yet because I didn't want to overpower it. And I also did buy white background, the static cling for each one of the tanks. Even though my wall is white, I thought, it might just help better. Like I had thought, what if I eventually wanted to put a light at the back, but at the bottom? I don't want it glaring up, but what if I use the white film and then the light highlights the white film on the backside? I think that could be really dramatic. And then you would not see the cord that's attached between each one of them. You would just see the film back there. So if I ever add a second light and you would just put it at the base of the shelf behind it, pointing up, you're not going to have to worry about it if the light's in your face because it's going to have the transparency on the backside of the tank. And I did go ahead and do a neoprene, aquarium-safe neoprene that's inside there so that I can move my rocks around freely without worrying about scratching anything. So that's where we are so far. We're going to focus on turtle in motion first, and this is going to be a tutorial build. So I really want you guys to spend time thinking about, does it look cohesive? Do you have any options for, I want it to be in this, I want it to be 1, 2, and 3. So I don't want to change the setting of it, primarily because this stick here needs to come out that side because it's not getting in the way of anything. I can't put it over here because it would get in the way of the branches that are coming out. And I don't want to switch these two because this is my focal point because of the turtle in motion. So think about knowing what I want to do with the bird on the wire by elevating it. And then if I have to tilt this, maybe, and by the way, the rocks are all just sitting in there. Nothing is glued. The only thing that's glued is turtle is glued to its one rock. So gluing it might help because right now it's just sitting there like these rocks washed up together. That's how I want it to look. I want it to look natural. I don't want it to look fake. I want it to be very organic. But I do want this side to have a washed up look, like it's coming up to maybe a surface or something like that. I haven't quite decided. And I had an idea of planting Vallisneria in this tank as well. And I also bought, I can't remember how much I paid. I think they were $9. One of those fans that you can either put in the water to create ripples or on top of it. Because I love the look of aquariums that have a ripple effect with the light hitting it. I think it'll be really, really pretty. So I bought 2 just to see what it's going to like when we build this one, because I think it needs it. So that would add another. I think I'll check on it and I'll put the prices together, but I don't think it was more than $9 for that. So for right now, where we stand right now, I'm just going to be needing the feedback on how it looks, the layout, if you have any revisions for that. And then what do you think about how to achieve the curve? The curve up will be easy on this side, but what about between these 2 tanks? How is that going to transition to where it looks like it's in one? I don't have any more smooth rocks at this point. I picked one up while I was just on my layover in Ohio, but it's small. It could go into this tank right here because it's a smaller rock, and I thought it could fill in right there. It's white, or it could actually go either there or in with this one up front. I don't know. So that's your dilemma for now. And I hope you guys really give me some cool feedback. I hope we get some really good dialogue going on these 3 tanks. And thanks for hanging out with me. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.